In order to prove that insects are the strongest creatures in Blue Star, I directly incarnated as bee, allowing hundreds of poisonous insects. Even if the poisonous bug sprays venom in my mouth, I still swallowed it with nausea. Everything is just because of the strange red light coming to the world. 90% of living things will become monsters that have lost their minds, while some people find out at the same time as the red light shines. Live swallowing organisms can mutate with living organisms, merge into a person of ability. Because the top combat power in the previous life was almost all Zerg, so come back from rebirth, I immediately began to prepare to swallow all kinds of insects alive. In the biological laboratory at this moment, I was holding a bag. Walk up to a millipede. Millipedus 10 centimeter long. After mutation, it can reach at least 100 meters. I grabbed the millipede with my gloves on, pinch it half dead and put it in the bag. Then he looked at the marching ants on the side. Discover the largest marching ant is attacking other of the same kind. There are also many corpses of marching ants around. My eyes lit up suddenly after this marching ant mutated. The power is definitely more terrifying than other marching ants. Then he pinched the marching ant half to death. Back in a bag, I walked towards the red fire ant again. Red fire ants are invasive species. After mutation, even marching ants are no match. Another red fire ant in the bag. Near the red fire ant breeding box, there was also a black spider lying down. I recognized its origin at a glance. It is actually the most poisonous spider Black Widow on the blue planet. The reason why Black Widow is terrifying after the mutation, it is because they can release poisons by themselves. Then I took out the Black Widow and put it in the bag. Just as I turned to look around the corner, a small scorpion is lying in a breeding box. It is actually the most poisonous scorpion in the world. Israeli golden scorpion. Without hesitation, I grabbed the Israeli scorpion into the bag. At this moment, a piercing siren suddenly came from outside the window. The sky was instantly dyed blood red. Here it comes. An eerie red light poured into the laboratory like a tide. I know there's not much time left for me. Memories of past lives tell me it only devours creatures the moment the red light shines. Only then can the most perfect integration be completed. I opened the bag. Pour out dozens of poisonous insects into your mouth. Millipedus writhing wildly on the tip of their tongues. Marching ants bit my mouth with their jaws. Red fire ants release scorching venom. Black Widow's fangs pierced my throat. The severe pain made me almost breathless, but I gritted my teeth and chewed hard. The Israeli golden scorpion is the last. Its poisonous needle pierced my tongue. Neurotoxins spread throughout the body instantly. I endured the nausea and severe pain. Swallow all poisonous insects into the belly. The red light penetrated my body. I could feel the toxins in my body starting to boil. The blood vessels burst out like fire. Genes are frantically recombined. The bones make a clicking sound of breaking. Something is moving under the skin. It hurt so much that I fell to my knees. My whole body twitched. Consciousness gradually blurred. The sound of his own bones being reshaped came from his ears. There are countless insect sounds echoing in my mind. I don't know how long it took. I finally opened my eyes. Looked down. My hands were covered with black carapaces. Sharp blade-like structures extend from the fingertips. Give it a gentle hand. The metal edges of the bench are easily crushed. Succeeded, I obtained the body of 10,000 insects. Just as I was ready to test new abilities, the door of the laboratory was suddenly slammed open. One is rotten all over. The scarlet-eyed monster rushed in. It is a mutated security guard. The mutant security guard had completely lost his humanity. Get on all fours. Teeth are exposed. More like a crazy beast. A low roar came out of his throat. Scarlet eyes stared at me. Lost dogs. He pounced on him. The speed is amazing. I subconsciously raised my right hand to block. There was an instant tingling in his arm, but immediately afterwards, I felt the bones of my arm reorganize. The black carapace extends rapidly, turned into a sharp blade-like weapon. Like the chelicerae of the Black Widow, the zombie dog's claws hit my arm. Makes the sound of metal colliding. I took my chance. He waved his arm suddenly. The black blade cut through his neck. The head of the zombie dog flew out. Rancid black blood splattered on the ground. The corpse convulsed a few times and then did not move at all. I looked down at my arm. The black blade was slowly retracting. It changes back to the shape of a human hand. It's a wonderful feeling. It's like instinct. I can control the changes in my body at will. Just as I was ready to test my abilities further, there was a sound of muffled footsteps outside the laboratory. There are people inside. Knock the door open. A familiar voice made me frown. Insolent Excellent. In the previous life, this school bully. It is by integrating tiger genus. A violent gang was established in the early days of the apocalypse. Burning, killing, looting. There is no evil that cannot be done. I didn't expect to meet him after being reborn. The door of the laboratory was violently opened. Chen Kuang rushed in with 5 or 6 people. His changes are obvious. The height has increased by at least 20 cm. Muscle knots. His eyes glowed with a beastly golden light. Sharp tiger claws grew on his fingers. Yulin Feng, I didn't expect you to survive too. Chen Kuangxi smiled, showing sharp teeth. Words of recognition. Aren't you seeing something out for the lab? I can let you join my party. Get out. Looking for death. Brothers, give it to me. Several younger brothers immediately rushed over, but they are just ordinary people. Just survived by chance in the red light. There is no threat at all. I waved my right hand. The black blade extended again. Easily knocked the 2 people who rushed to the front away. Arrogant and arrogant. Pounced on him himself. He was fast. The tiger claw went straight to my throat with a sound of breaking the air. I'm faster. The genes of the marching ant in the body are activated. The flesh swells instantly. The power skyrocketed. I punched out. Faced the arrogant tiger claw head on Hu. Bang Huger force collided. It made the whole laboratory shake. Zhang Kuang's face changed drastically. He didn't expect that my strength would not lose to him. How can it be? What creatures are you fusing with? Retreat in arrogance and horror? I didn't answer. Instead, strike again. The left hand turned into a sharp blade. The right fist contained strange powers. Both abilities explode at the same time. The arrogance couldn't resist at all. I punched him in the chest. The whole person flew out backwards. Smashed the glass door of the laboratory. Withdraw quickly. Zhang Kuang covered his chest. The wolf fled with the people. There was no pursuit. Now is not the time to completely tear your face. But at this moment, I suddenly heard denser footsteps and roars came from the corridor. Look out through the broken door. The corridors are densely packed with mutated zombies. At least hundreds of them are rushing towards this direction. It's the arrogant bastard. He lured the corpses over as he fled. Hundreds of zombies poured into the corridor. The smell of rancidity hit my face. They roared and rushed towards the laboratory. Ordinary people face a household group of this size. There is only one dead end. But I'm not an ordinary person. I took a deep breath. Feel the restlessness of millipedes in your body. Memories of past lives tell me millipede's most powerful ability is not defense. It is the highly toxic it can secrete. Close your eyes. I began to mobilize toxins in my body. A burning, tingling sensation came from under the skin. A pale green mist oozes from the gaps in the black carapace. These fogs spread quickly. Forms a poisonous mist barrier in the corridor. The first zombies to rush into the poisonous mist immediately let out a scream. Their skin begins to fester. Flesh and blood melt. It fell to the ground in less than 10 seconds. The convulsions did not stop, although the zombies behind lost their minds, but instinct stopped them. Outside the poisonous mist, he roared. I didn't stop releasing poison. Instead, the output is increased. The pale green mist is getting thicker and thicker, gradually enveloping the entire corridor. The bereaved began to retreat, but it was too late. Poison chased them like a living creature. Zombies fell in pieces. Less than 5 minutes. There were only corpses left in the corridor. Just as I was about to take back the poison, laboratory corner, suddenly there was a slight breathing sound. I turned around abruptly. The gaze is locked behind a collapsed test bench. Come out, otherwise I'll let the poison in, I said coldly. After a few seconds of silence, a girl stood up from behind the test table. She was about 18 or 19 years old, wearing a school uniform. Her face is pale, holding a pot of greenery tightly in both hands. Don't kill me. His voice was trembling. I recognized him. Biology student. In his previous life, he awakened to plant perception. It can detect the surrounding situation through plants. He is a very useful support ability. When did you hide here? Before the red light came. I'm experimenting here. When a red light appears, I happen to be holding this pot of mimosa, and then I could feel his emotions. Sure enough, he has awakened his abilities. From now on, you follow me. I want this building. You perceive with plants. Help me detect the situation on other floors. Can I refuse? I didn't answer. Just look at her. The poisonous mist in the corridor has not completely dissipated. Those melted corpses are the best answer. Su Chiaoya bit her lip, finally nodded. I promise you, with its plant perception, it will be much easier to clean up the building. I looked around. This biology lab is well located, easy to defend, but hard to attack, and there are many experimental equipment and specimens. In the previous life, many strong people would establish their own strongholds. I need one too. It will be called here in the future. Long Nest Su Xiaoya was stunned for a moment, but there was no objection. Right now, use your abilities to detect the situation on the second floor. Su Xiaoya closed her eyes. Place your hand on the mimosa. She opened her eyes a few seconds later. There are 7 zombies on the second floor. There are also 3 living people. They were trapped in the classroom. 3 living people. I sneered. In these last days, people are sometimes more dangerous than zombies. But since we want to occupy this building, all threats must be eliminated. Let's go down. I pushed open the door of the lab. The poison in the corridor has dispersed. Only corpses were left all over the ground. And in these corpses, I noticed the heads of several corpses. There is a faintly glowing nucleus. Purify energy. Got down. From the head of a zombie, dig out the glowing nucleus. Get warm. You can feel the energy in it pulsating. Memories of past lives tell me these nuclei are key to evolution. Devouring crystal nuclei can strengthen their own abilities and even awaken new powers. I put away the crystal core. 4 more were dug up from several other bodies. These are the lowest levels of white crystal nuclei, but gather less and become more. It can also play a big role. Go downstairs. The corridor on the 2nd floor. There are 7 zombies wandering. They heard footsteps. Immediately turned his head and roared. I didn't use poison. Instead he rushed straight up. The right hand turned into a black blade. The left fist contained strange powers. In a few breaths all 7 zombies were killed. Ousted 3 more crystal nuclei. Which classroom are those 3 living people in? Classroom 203. He pointed to the end of the hallway. I walked to the door of classroom 203. There was a suppressed breathing sound inside. I kicked open the door. The 3 boys looked at it in horror. Come out. This building is now my territory. I said coldly, or join, or get out. The 3 of them looked at each other, finally chose to join. In these last days, there is only one way out: to fight alone. Just as I was about to move on to cleaning up the other floors, the whole building suddenly shook violently. A loud bang came from downstairs. This was followed by the sound of walls breaking. I rushed to the window and looked down. The pupils contracted instantly. On the campus playground, a massive monster is wreaking havoc. It has the body of an elephant. The body size has expanded by at least 3 times. The foot is 10 meters high. The tusks turned into sharp tusks. The skin is covered with a thick cuticle. Make the ground shake with every step. Giant mutant beast. And judging from the aura it exudes, this is definitely a high-order variant. The nucleus in the body is at least blue. My eyes lit up. If you can get his crystal core, there will be a qualitative leap in my strength. You stay here. I'll go back when I go. You're crazy. What kind of monster is that? A boy shouted in horror. I ignored it. Jumped straight out of the window. The body flips in the air, steadily on the ground. The colossus mutant beast noticed me. He turned around. Scarlet eyes stared at me. Let out a deafening roar. The next second he rushed over. Hi! The massive body carries devastating power. Crushed. I don't have a hard resistance. Instead he flexibly dodged to the side. The figurative crashed into the teaching building. The entire wall collapsed instantly. What a powerful force. I took the opportunity to rush up. The sharp blade of his right hand stabbed him hard in the abdomen. The blade stabbed his skin. There was a sound of metal colliding. Only a shallow white mark remains. This defense is too terrifying. The giant elephant shakes its trunk. It was like a steel whip at me. I used the strange power of the marching ant to block it, but it was still blown away by the enormous force. Hit the wall. No, normal attacks can't break its defenses at all. I have to use that ability. I took a deep breath. Mobilizes the genes of the Israeli golden scorpion in the body. Scorching burst of energy flows through the veins. Converged to the right hand, the surface of the black blade. It began to glow with a pale golden glow. That's the neurotoxin of the golden scorpion. The giant elephant rushed in again. I didn't dodge. Instead, he greeted it head-on. The strange power of the marching ant exploded with all its might. I jumped up. Poisonous blade in his hand stabbed it straight into its eyes. The poisonous blade pierced into the eye. The golden toxin was instantly injected into its brain. The giant elephant let out a shrill scream. The huge body began to twitch. Neurotoxins spread in his body, destroying his nervous system. 10 seconds later, he fell to the ground with a loud bang. There was no more movement. I dug out a blue nucleus from his head. It is several times larger than the previous white nucleus. It radiates an alluring glow. Just as I was about to leave, there was a sudden shrill cry in the distance. I looked up. A black figure appeared in the sky. It is approaching fast. That's the Eagle Collection. No. It's a night owl. Dark shadow in the sky is getting closer. I saw his appearance clearly. It was a person with the ability to fuse the eagle falcon's genus. There are huge wings on the back. The eyes were as sharp as knives. Night owl. Nonsense. mysterious person in the past life has always been arrogant's right-hand man. I didn't expect it to appear so soon. He hovers in the air, obviously observing my strength. I ignored him. Instead, he clenched his hand. Law nucleus. Now is not the time to hesitate. I have to improve my strength as soon as possible. I stuffed the blue crystal nucleus into my mouth. Eat a hard and crush. A raging energy burst out in his body in an instant. It was 100 times more violent than when it swallowed poisonous insects before. My veins burst again. Something is growing like crazy under the skin. There's a sharp pain in my back like tearing. 2 membranes break out from the shoulder and foot bones. Quickly unfold. It was the magic tooth of the red fire ant type. Meanwhile, the red fire ant gene in the body is completely activated. A scorching energy boiled in the blood. I can feel a qualitative change in my toxin. No longer ordinary neurotoxins. Instead, it is a flame toxin with fire attributes. I spread my wings. There was a gentle shock. The body actually rose off the ground, although not as flexible as the night owl. But it is enough. Interesting, unexpectedly, to evolve so fast. But today, you have to die. The words just fell. He swoops down. The sharp eagle claws went straight to my head. I flapped my wings and dodged. At the same time, a golden red flame was sprayed from his right hand. It was a flame formed by the condensation of flame toxins. Temperature is amazingly high. The night owl hurriedly pulled up, but it was still grazed by the flames on the wings. A few feathers burned instantly. It's insolent. Don't do it yet. I was shocked. Turned around suddenly. I don't know when I was crazy. He had already rushed into the teaching building with more than a dozen people. Their target is a nest. Zhu Xiaoya. I roared. Immediately flapped its wings and flew to the teaching building. But how could the night owl let me get my wish? He swooped down again. Block my way with my body. Your opponent is me. I don't have time to entangle with him. The flame toxins in the body exploded with all their might. Both hands spew fire at the same time. The golden red flames resembled 2 fire dragons, intertwined in the air into a web of fire. The night owl couldn't dodge, covered in a net of fire. He let out a shrill scream. The wings were scorched, falling from the sky. I ignored him, rushed directly into the teaching building. There was a fight in the laboratory on the 3rd floor, and Su Xiaoya's scream. When I rushed in, saw Su Xiaoya lying in a pool of blood. There is a deep claw mark on the chest. Shan Kuan was rummaging through the materials in the laboratory. See me in. He smiled too late. Lin Feng is a woman who is disobedient. I had to teach her a lesson. My reason was instantly consumed by anger. The flame toxins in the body gushed out like a volcanic eruption. Golden red flames gushed out of me. The entire laboratory was set on fire. In an instant, you all have to die. I incarnate as Shura in flames. The black blades covered the flames. Every wave brings a sea of fire. The arrogant men didn't have time to react. Was engulfed in flames. Arrogant wants to escape. But how could I let him get his wish? I grabbed him by the neck. Flame toxin was injected directly into his body. Body begins to burn, but I didn't kill him. Just let him taste the hellish pain. Throw him out the window. The entire laboratory has turned into a sea of fire, but I don't care. I picked up the seriously injured Su Xiaoya. Flap your wings and rush out of the sea of fire. After landing, I looked at the burning school building. A hint of coldness flashed in his eyes. Although the nest was destroyed, but I will build a stronger stronghold, and those who dare to touch me will pay the price. Su Xiaoya opened her eyes weakly. I'm sorry. I'm too weak. Don't talk. I will save you. I looked at the ruins of the city in the distance. There are hospitals there. There are medicines I need. But I know there are even more terrifying monsters entrenched there too. I hugged Su Xiaoya and left the burning school building. The 3 boys had already taken advantage of the chaos to escape. The nest was destroyed. I had to find a new place to stay. Now the most urgent thing is to save Su Xiaoya. Her wound was deep, excessive blood loss. If the medicine is not found as soon as possible, she can't last tonight. Downtown hospital. There should still be medicines there. I looked at the ruins of the city in the distance. After the red light descends, the whole city has become a paradise for monsters. The streets are full of wandering zombies. Various mutant creatures lurk in the building. I had no choice. The magic wings behind my vibrations. Holding Su Xiaoya, he flew to the city. View from the air. The tragic situation of the city is unobstructed. Burning buildings are everywhere. Overturned vehicles. There are also hordes of zombies. Occasionally several survivors can be seen fleeing through the rubble, but it is soon devoured by monsters. After 10 minutes, I landed on the roof of the downtown hospital. It's surprisingly quiet here. Quiet is unsettling. I carefully pushed open the door of the rooftop. Walk into the stairwell. Suddenly a pungent fishy smell came to my face. I stopped alertly. Listen carefully. There was a dense sound from downstairs. It was like countless small claws rubbing against the ground. Rats and they are mutated mice. I hugged Su Xiaoya tightly, slowly walked down the stairs. When passing the corner, I saw a scene that made people's scalps tingle. Throughout the corridor, densely packed with mice. Each one is the size of a cat. Scarlet eyes. A strange light flashed in the darkness. There are at least 1,000 of them. The entire corridor was blocked. The rat tied these mutant rats found me. Immediately, there was a sharp hissing sound. It surged up like a tide. I have no way out. Behind him is the rooftop. Ahead is the rat tide, and Su Xiaoya's injury can no longer be delayed. Case, then come on. I put Su Xiaoya in the corner. Turn around and face the rat tide. Millipede gainers in the body are activated. The black carapace quickly covers the entire body. Form a thick layer of defense. The first wave of rats pounced. Sharp teeth bite into my carapace. There is a screeching, grinding sound, although it can't break the defense. But there are too many. They are piled up on me, trying to crush me with weight. I waved my arms. Flame toxins gushed out, burn surrounding rats to chaw. But more rats came from behind. Go forward and follow. He was fierce and unafraid of death. It won't go on like this. I will be consumed to death. At this moment, I suddenly thought of millipedes. There is also a super ability to regenerate. I stopped defending. Let the rats bite my body. The pain came. Flesh and blood were torn apart, but the next wound began to heal. Meanwhile, I devoured these rats like crazy. Every time one is swallowed, the energy in the body increases by 1 point. Gradually, I found myself feeling the presence of these rats. It's like being able to sense their position and intention. This is group perception. I tried to free my will, trying to influence these rats. A miracle happened. A few mice closest to me. The attack suddenly stopped. Stunned there in a daze, followed by more and more rats are affected by my will. Stop the attack. I did it. I realized the power of group control. But at this moment, a sharp chirp came from the depths of the corridor. The rats I controlled instantly regained their senses. Attack. Again, there is a leader in the rat tide. Deep in the rat tide, a huge mutant rat King slowly walked out. It is more than a meter high, covered in steely hair. Scarlet eyes are full of wisdom. Is controlling the rat tide. The Rat King let out a sharp chirping. All the rats immediately gave way to a path. He has to deal with it himself. I didn't hesitate. Whoosh directly up. Flame toxins condensed in the hands turn into 2 flaming blades. Speed of the Rat King is extremely fast. It was flexible enough to dodge my attacks. Sharp claws left deep scratches on my carapace. But I have regenerative energy. I launched an onslaught regardless of it. Replace injuries with injuries. Although the Rat King is powerful, but in the face of my deadly style of play, gradually fell into a disadvantage. Eventually I caught it. A flaw. The flame blade pierced its head. The moment the Rat King fell, all the rats stopped attacking. They scattered and fled. I dug out a green crystal core from the Rat King's body. This is a more advanced crystal nucleus than blue, but now is not the time to devour. Su Xiaoya's injuries were more serious. I picked up Su Xiaoya and rushed into the hospital. The pharmacy on the first floor has been looted. The same goes for the second floor. I could only keep going down. Access to the basement. The air in the basement is damp and cold. The walls are crawling with all kinds of bugs. Turn on your phone's flashlight. Faint light illuminates the passage ahead. Suddenly, a hoarse voice came from ahead. Hymens are still insects. I stopped alertly. Put Su Xiaoya behind him. A humanoid creature slowly walked out of the darkness. It has the silhouette of a human being, but the skin has a brownish carapace texture. Thin wings on the back. The antennae extend from the forehead. Mutant cockroachman. Interesting. You have a lot of bug breath on you. Millipedes, marching ants and red fire ants. Black widow. It senses my genetic makeup. But you know what? The cockroach man suddenly smiled, showing a sharp tone. In the world of the Zerg, there can only be one king. The words just fell. While ceiling in the basement, dense bugs gushed out everywhere on the ground. Cockroach, spider, beatless tens of thousands of worms obey his call. That's what he's capable of. Insect swarm control? Surrender or die. The cockroach man said coldly. I wiped the blood from the corner of my mouth. A hint of madness flashed in his eyes. The Zerg can only have one king. Then Let me be it. I unleashed my will, trying to fight for control of these bugs. Two wills collide in the air. The swarm is in chaos. Part of it obeys the orders of the cockroach people. Part of it is influenced by my will. It is impossible for you to have the ability to dominate. The cockroach man roared in shock. Because I am the body of all insects, I exploded with all my might. The poison of millipedes, the strange power of marching antsing, the flames of the red fire anting, black widow's blade, golden scorpion's neurotoxin. All abilities are activated at the same time. Although the cockroach man has the ability to dominate, but he only fused the cockroach gene. Faced with this diversity of attacks from me, gradually overwhelmed, eventually my flaming blade pierced his chest. You, cockroach man, fell to the ground. But the real Zerg king has not yet appeared. His body began to tense. A purple crystal core that emitted a strange light rolled down from the chest. I picked up the crystal core. I can feel that there is a powerful power of command in IT. But just when I was ready to devour, deep in the basement, suddenly there was a low metaphor sound. It seems that some behemoth is waking up. The sound of you ming in the depths of the basement is getting closer and closer. I don't have time to hesitate. Plug the purple crystal nucleus directly into your mouth. An unprecedented force poured into the body. My consciousness was instantly pulled into a strange space. Here I can perceive within a radius of several kilometers the presence of all worms, their positional state, and even emotions. All of them are clearly presented in my mind. This is the will of the swarm. I opened my eyes. Unleash your will. The bugs in the basement immediately stopped commotion. I crawled on the ground. Submit to me. But the owner of that metaphorical sound, obviously out of my control. It's too high level. Get out of here first. I picked up Su Xiaoya. Prostatic drugs and antibiotics were found in the pharmacy. Treat her wounds quickly. Fortunately, it was timely. Her breathing gradually stabilized. Finish it all. I rushed out of the basement with Su Xiaoya. There was a loud impact behind him. The entire basement was shaking, but I didn't look back. After returning to the ground, I was standing on the roof of the hospital. Close your eyes. Unleash the will of the swarm. Come on, my army. Within a radius of 5 kilometers, our lower mutant insects, all felt my calling. Cockroaches crawl out of the sewers. Spiders emerge from buildings. Ants form a torrent of black. The beetle hovers in the air. Millions of insects coming from all directions. It is like a black ocean surrounding the entire hospital. This is the power of the Zerg. At this moment, a piercing siren suddenly sounded in the sky. A military helicopter hovers in the air. A mechanical sound came from the loudspeaker. Note, all survivors should go to the western suburbs shelter immediately. The shelter will be closed after 3 days. The shelter's eyes lit up. The past life refuge is indeed the last bastion of humanity. There is an army there. There are materials and a complete defense system. If you can occupy the shelter, I can build a true Zerg empire. Let's go to the shelter, I said to Su Xiaoya. She nodded weakly. A hint of shock flashed in his eyes. Apparently, she was shocked by the Zerg army I had gathered. I vibrate my wings. Took Su Xiaoya to the western suburbs. The million-strong Zerg army behind him was like a black torrent. Follow me in a mighty manner. I saw many teams of survivors along the way, also moving towards the shelter. Some are ordinary people, some have awakened their abilities. They saw my Zerg army. All showed expressions of fear. One after another they got out of the way. 2 hours later, the refuge appears in the field of view. It was a huge military base. The high walls stand firmly. There are many watchtowers. Heavy weapons are everywhere. But at this moment, the outskirts of the shelter are surrounded by dense monsters. The number of corpse tides and beast tides is at least millions. The shelter's defenses are in danger. Gunshots and explosions came one after another. I even saw the figures of Zhang Kuang and Night Owl. They are desperately resisting on the city walls. But none of this matters. The important thing is in the deepest part of the beast tide. A behemoth that exudes a terrifying aura is slowly standing up. It was a mutant that was a fusion of a lion and an eagle. Griffin. Its size is 20 meters high, covered with golden scales. There are huge wings on the back. The most terrifying thing is, the aura it emanates is actually SS class. This is the strongest enemy I have encountered since my rebirth. Standing in the middle of the beast tide, looking down on everything like a king. Every time he flapped his wings, the wind blew. Oh, the soldiers on the walls of the shelter are away. On the city walls, Arrogance is covered in blood. One of the tiger's claws has been broken. The wings of the supper were also torn. Barely standing, the capable people around them fell one after another. The human defense line is about to collapse. Down It keep going like this. We all have to die here. At this moment, the sky suddenly darkened. Everyone looked up. I saw a black cloud approaching quickly. No, that's not clouds, but millions of insects. What is that? The soldiers on the city wall shouted in horror. I landed at the bottom of a building on the outskirts of the shelter. Tsuchiya down. I am optimistic that this is the power of the Zerg race. I unleash the will of the swarm. The million insect army instantly received the order. They did not rush to the shelter. Instead, they raided the beast tide from the rear. The marching ant colony is like a torrent of black. Rush into the beast tide. Their jaws can easily bite through steel. Thousands of marching ants climb up a giant mutant bear, tear it to pieces in less than 10 seconds. Poisonous spiders weave webs in the air, and giant cobwebs trap the zombies. The cobwebs are covered with poison. The trapped zombie quickly dissolved into pus. Millipedes released poisons. Death passages opened up in the beast tide. All the monsters that inhaled the poison fell in pain. Make way for the Zerg army. Red fire ants spew flames. The corpses were burnt to charcoal. The beetle swoops from the air. Crush the head of a mutant creature with a hard carapace. The entire battlefield fell into chaos in an instant. Beasttide was torn apart from the rear by the Zerg army. A huge gap. Countless monsters are devoured by swarms. The humans on the walls of the sanctuary were stunned. They had never seen such a terrifying scene. What kind of monster is that? A soldier asked tremblingly. No, that's not a monster. The night owl closed his eyes. Look at the top of the building where I am. That's the king of the Zerg race. Shang Kuang Azuzami. Mixed emotions flashed in his eyes. Fear and anger. There is also a trace of unwillingness, but I didn't pay attention to them. I only have one SS-grade griffin to target. Griffin apparently noticed the threat of the Zerg army as well. It roared, earth-shattering. The golden scales radiate a dazzling light. Next second it flapped its wings and flew away. Rushed directly to my Zerg army. One claw swings out. Thousands of bugs were torn to pieces in an instant. It's incredibly fast. Rampage through swarms. Wherever he passed, blood and flesh flew everywhere. But the most terrifying thing about the Zerg is not their individual strength. It's the quantity. I sneered. Continue to command the swarm to attack. Marching ant climbed onto the rescued body. Bite its scales with your jaws. The venomous spider sprays silk in an attempt to bind its wings. Millipedes release poisons that interfere with its vision. Although the griffin is powerful, but in the face of the siege of the million Zerg, Azu began to show fatigue. At this moment, he turned abruptly, abandoned the swarm, rushed directly towards me. He could see it. Just kill me. The swarm will lose control. The griffin was too fast. His eyes rushed in front of me. Sharp claws go straight to my head. I didn't dodge. Instead he showed a strange smile. It's you who are waiting. Griffin's claws. It was less than 1 meter away from my head, but I didn't panic in the slightest haste. Because of this moment, I waited a long time. The whole body opens. My body began to expand in an instant. The black carapace grows wildly. The bones made a deafening cracking sound. Millipedes genes are completely activated. My body swelled like a balloon blowing. 10 meters, 20 meters, 50 meters. 100 meters between the eyes, a giant millipede up to 100 meters long appeared on the battlefield. My body was covered with a thick black carapace. Hundreds of arthropods rubbed against the ground. Each segment of the body emits a highly toxic green mist. The claws of the griffin grabbed my carapace. Only a shallow white mark remains. Now it's my turn. My voice is like thunder. The entire battlefield trembled. Hundreds of amputated limbs exert force at the same time. Instantly entangled the griffin. The griffin struggled wildly. The claws tore my carapace. The eagle's beak pecked through my body. But the regeneration ability of millipedes let my wounds heal instantly. Meanwhile, I activated all the abilities of the poisonous insects. Highly poisonous of millipedes, oozing from every crevice of the body, corroding the scales of the rescue. The strange power of the marching ant makes my entanglement powers skyrocket. The griffin's bones make an overwhelming clicking sound. The flames of the red fire ants erupted from my breath. The golden red flames enveloped the griffin. The black widow's blade extended from my arthropods, where the wings of a griffin. Finally, the neurotoxin of the Israeli golden scorpion injected into the body of the griffin. It's over. The griffin let out a last mournful wail. The huge body began to twitch. After 10 seconds, it completely lost its breath of life. The body that loosened the griffin and fell to the ground smashed out a huge pit. The entire battlefield fell into dead silence. On the walls of the shelter, everyone looked at me blankly. Arrogant night owl soldiers, survivors course are no exception. The eyes were full of fear and respect. I took the head of the griffin, dig out a brilliant golden crystal core. This is SS Great Crystal Core. It contains terrifying energy, but I didn't swallow it right away. Instead, he turned around slowly. Look at the shelter. From today, I'll take over here. My voice spread throughout the battlefield. Surrender or die. There was silence on the city walls. Eventually, the commander of the shelter walked out. He's a middle-aged soldier. His face was full of fatigue. He looked at me. After a few seconds of silence, slowly saluted with a military salute. We are willing to accept your rule. With the first one, why, there is a second one. Arrogant gritted his teeth. Get on one knee. Zopper also lowered his arrogant head. More and more people are on their knees. Ultimately, the survivors of the entire shelter surrendered to me. I retracted my full body form. Restore a human form, but the coercion on his body is even more terrifying. A million Zerg armies line up behind me, like the most loyal guard. I walked towards the door of the shelter. Everyone automatically gets out of the way. I climbed the walls, looking down at this ruined world. The red light is coming. 90% of creatures become monsters. Human civilization is on the verge of collapse. But in this apocalypse, I will establish a new order. Zerg Empire. Sword Tire. I raised the golden crystal core in my hand. Shine brightly in the sun. Remember that insects are the strongest creatures in Blue Star. My voice echoed between heaven and earth. It heralds the arrival of a new era.